Welcome to Fantasy Football Hub. Today I'm joined by Bakar to preview the upcoming Game Week 28. We're going to have a little look back at Bakar's incredible Game Week 27, over 100 points, big green arrow. But the main question is, what is he doing in 28? Now, we've just been chatting off camera, Bakar, and I've had to start recording immediately because you've said to me that you may be taking a hit for the upcoming Game Week. That's all to come, but really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely making two transfers.
Wow.
And I'm contemplating making a third as well. I might do it. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's something I'm considering.
I mean, guys, stay tuned because that is enthralling, I will say. Before we do get into that, though, let's have a little brief look at your team from the past week because, as I say, a truly mesmeric game week. 105 points, big green arrow. Talk to me about it. What went right?
Almost everything. It was, it seemed like an eternity since I've been waiting for this kind of a week. And, when it rains, it pours. It was great to have this kind of week. Salah missed the penalty, which is unfortunate for his owners, but was much needed for Game Week 26 wildcarders after what they went through in recent times. And then, Brentford, Brighton, both winning, both keeping a clean sheet was very welcome. And yeah, finally, nice to be sitting here after a decent week and hoping to build on the momentum with the doubles and blanks to come.
The little bit of I don't even know what to call it. Not sass, but a little bit of like the joy in saying Salah missed the penalty, which was unfortunate for his owners, but it's good for me.
I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it.
Gotta take it.
I mean, they had a 21-pointer like a week ago, so I mean, they've had their fair share of luck as well.
That's the thing. I mean, the swing is still in their favor, so I understand it. Now, before we get into your plans for 28, first of all, I've got to say this video is sponsored by Sorare. Here is a quick little message about them. That's right, the Premier League is now on Sorare, and Fantasy Football Hub have partnered with them for the rest of the season with some Premier League tickets now up for grabs. At the Hub, we believe that Sorare is the dawn of a new era for fantasy football. Things are getting shaken up. It's not just FPL anymore. Sorare is here. Sorare is very simple. You collect, buy and sell cards and then enter them into competitions to win amazing prizes. The Sorare Premier League draft game is completely free to enter, and what you want to do is join our exclusive mini league in which we are giving the winner an amazing prize, a pair of Premier League tickets for next season. You've got until up to Game Week 29 to join that. And yeah, if you win, those tickets are yours. So get your free cards, pick your team and compete now for absolutely free. Once again, in our Fantasy Football Hub private league, linked down below. If you use that link, in addition to your standard free cards, you will get a free limited card to enter into competitions to try and win more cards. Again, make sure you join the mini league to be in with a chance of winning those tickets. Right then, let's get into Bakar's team reveal. Okay, Bakar, I've got your team up on screen for the upcoming game week. As it stands, you have 9 players. Am I correct in saying that with my terrible counting skills? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I do have 9 players. That's right. I am thinking of making at least 2 transfers. Haaland out for Watkins is a move I'm considering.
Okay.
I know the risks attached in selling Haaland. I mean, he's one of the most explosive players in the league, and I am very certain that he's going to do well against Liverpool. Liverpool are ranked 20th for big chances conceded away from home this season. And knowing Haaland's potential, I have no qualms that he'll do well. Having said that, I'm willing to roll the dice because I prefer having someone with 3 fixtures as compared to Haaland's 1. Despite the fact that even if it's taking 2 transfers for me to remove and then sell, I am still willing to take that risk.
Okay, so speaking of Haaland replacements, who are you looking at?
I've actually looked at quite a few options. There's Watkins, there's Havertz, Iheanacho, and even Isaac. But I think that Watkins is going to be my pick simply because even though I prefer Havertz for the next 3, I think the potential is there for Havertz to do well, especially since Chelsea have moved to wing back system. He's getting plenty of chances. He's on penalties. He has 3 home fixtures to come. But I'm on Watkins because of his long-term fixtures. When you look at his fixtures after Game Week 29, they read Nottingham Forest, Newcastle, Brentford, Fulham. So that's a good run. You can keep him from for after game week 30. While Chelsea are going to be having the Champions League, and Havertz could be a bit of a risk in game week 30 and 31. Further, the problem if I buy Havertz this week is that I don't really want to be in a position where I own both Havertz and Toney, because Toney has a suspension looming, especially after the yellow card yesterday. And in my opinion, Havertz could be a rotation risk from game week 30. So I don't want to put myself in a situation where I own both and also have to buy Haaland back. So I don't really want to do that.
So are you seeing it as almost, if you want to go Watkins now, it may well be if you go Havertz now, it may well be another transfer down the line. It's just not worth that 4 points?
I don't think so, because Watkins' numbers are very good as well. Over the last 6 matches, he's second for big chances and non-penalty XG among all players in the league. So he is getting some very good underlying data. And the additional thing is that you also got to consider that he's the safe pick. He's the one who's completely nailed for expected minutes, and he's boring. I understand why quite a few people might not go there because he's boring. But he's boring, yeah, because everyone will pick him. He's nailed. He's the boring kind of guy. Makes a nice sense. Kai is like the more sexier pick, if I may put it that way.
Wow.
But I think just those factors makes me look towards Watkins. And the thing is that even in 29, both fixtures they seem tough, but Watkins tends to do better away from home. So I like his potential, especially in the game against Villa. I think he'll do well. And yeah, either side of that or home fixtures against Bournemouth and Forest, and they're amongst the worst teams defensively this season, especially away from home. So yeah, a safe pick.
Yeah, I was really interested to see that tweet of yours where you mentioned about Watkins being better away from home, because I was looking at the Leicester and Chelsea away fixtures in the double and thinking, yeah, both teams aren't great defensively, but they are away fixtures. But as you say, the stats do look pretty good. Okay, so give me a percentage right now. How likely are you to make that transfer? How likely is Haaland to not be in your team?
100%.
Okay. So have you made that transfer, or it's going to happen?
I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't made it, but it will happen. Yeah, I'm almost certainly going to be selling Haaland.
Okay, there you go. That is the big headline right there. So Watkins is in, or at least Haaland is out 100%. Now, you've got 2 free transfers. Let's get on to transfer number 2, because if you're making a hit, then the second transfer must be a formality.
The second answer is that I'm looking to sell Rico Henry for Chilwell.
Okay.
Chilwell has been playing as a wing back in recent times. He's played thrice a week as well, so he's kind of getting back to peak fitness. And he's been involved in 4 of Chelsea's previous 6 goals. And he's also on set pieces. He tends to create plenty of chances through them, which is very important, because chances created do tend to count in the bonus accumulation. So that adds to his upside. And further, I expect Sean Dyche to park the bus. I just don't expect anything from Everton going forward. I think this should be one of the good, easier clean sheet fixtures for Chelsea. And when you look at their underlying defensive data, they're very, very strong under Potter at home. So I really like that, considering that 4 of the next 5 for Chelsea are at home. So in my opinion, I'm very set on Chilwell. I think he's one of the most high upside picks to own this week. It's more of a question of who I sell, whether it is a Brighton defender who I own, it's Estupinan, or whether it's Rico Henry. I've been debating this throughout the week, and I am leaning towards selling the Brentford defender, because I think that Brighton have a better defense than Brentford. They have more doubles to come, including one which is very likely in game week 30 or 31. Secondly, I also expect Leicester to score. Their record ever since Maddison's come back, when you look at their XG per game, they're doing really, really well. And that is despite having had some tough fixtures. So in my opinion, yes, you may be 1 or 2 points down in the overall scheme of things by selling let's say, Henry over Estupinan this week. But over the long term, and even by game week 29, I mean, Brighton have Brentford and Bournemouth in 29, so they're good fixtures. By game week 29, I expect to be making a net gain out of it.
Okay, so sacrificing, well, at least 1 or 2 points, I mean, you'd expect from Henry in the short term, but you think in the long term it's worth it. It's very interesting because not normally do we go into a blank and we're selling players that are going to play, but that is that is where you're going, long term thinking. Anything in the fact that you are, well, by keeping Estupinan, you are therefore locking in those 3 Brighton players and not enabling yourself to get to a McAllister down the line?
I think there are plenty of midfielders which I want, and the thing is that very soon we might be needing Salah back. I mean, we have Arsenal mids. I'm not entirely sure about that structure where you own 3 Brighton mids, and I think Estupinan is a very good pick in his own right. So, I mean, yes, it does open up the option of owning McAllister in 29, but again, it's something which hasn't really played a huge part in my decision. Another factor which I forgot to mention is that Brentford actually have a very tough away schedule in 29. They're playing Brighton and Man United. I don't expect them to do anything. Exactly. Yeah. It's a horrific double. I mean, I own Raya as well, and the only thing I expect from him is saves in those fixtures. That's it. So for Henry, you're looking like at a 2-3 pointer at best, which is why I just think it's a bit of a no-brainer to get rid.
That's true. I mean, you would genuinely expect. Well, I mean, Hub's predicted points has Estupinan at 7.1. Let's have a quick look at Henry's for the double. What have they got him at? They've got him at 5.2, which is quite. I mean, that's quite aggressive, I'd say. Really, you're right. I don't see how he's going to get a clean in those games. Maybe a lucky one, but it seems unlikely, right? You're right. No. The points could just be accrued back in Estupinan in that one double, and that is really the reason why you have them for that double. That's the big week where all your 15 players are going to be playing. But yeah, interesting one. So yeah, you're right, aren't you? Like the structure of having 3 Brighton mids, it is a little bit like, it kind of locks you in there, which is not ideal because, as you say, Salah, Bruno, Saka, and let's talk about James Maddison. Exactly. There you go. That was the segue I was going for. Thoughts on him? Would you sell a Brighton midfielder to get him this game week?
That's the hit I'm considering.
There it is.
I am, I'm very, let's say I'm 50-50 on that move.
Okay.
The first thing is that I've mentioned that, Leicester's XG numbers ever since he's come back have been really, really impressive. And even his own underlying data is very good. He's had 3 big chances created, but the Leicester attackers have been very profligate and missing those chances. Have been wasteful. And I do think that, considering how good Leicester's fixtures are, especially in 29 and 30, Crystal Palace away, Palace at home are very, very poor defensively. Similarly, they're also playing Bournemouth in game week 30. Now that is as good a fixture run as you're going to get. Villa in 29 as well, which is the other fixture. So I do see plenty of points for Maddison in the weeks to come. And why I'm considering this move is because if I sell a Brighton mid this week, I can play with 11 players. So it's essentially a -2 in my eyes. And I do expect Leicester to score against Brentford, and in that case, Maddison can do well. The other thing is that it will also allow me to jump from an Arsenal mid to McAllister, and McAllister, in my opinion, is the best of the Brighton mids. I don't really see it as an even contest, despite the result last night where McAllister blanked. I think McAllister is better than the other 2. When you look at the underlying stats, since he's been playing number 10, he's had 6 big chances. March has had 3. Mitoma's had 1. When you look at the shots in the box, McAllister's had 16. March has had 8. Mitoma's had 5. So clearly, McAllister is the chief goal threat in that team. It's more of a debate as to which one of March or Mitoma is better, and I think that is generally a 50-50.
Okay.
Because of the stats I've just quoted, March has slightly higher goal threat, and since De Zerbi's taken over, his XG per 90 is slightly better than Mitoma, which is why I like keeping March over Mitoma. So if I was to make the move, I would sell Mitoma for McAllister as part of a 4-point hit. But again, I'll say I'm not sure about it. The reason why I'm not sure about it is because it will lock me out of Bruno Fernandes next week. Because if I get Maddison, then there's no way where I can get Chilwell as well and where I can get Haaland back as well in game week 30. So I'll sort of have to take a call on this as to whether I prefer Bruno or Maddison going forward. I mean, there's every chance that Maddison can match or even outscore him in 29, but Bruno does have pedigree as well.
All right, let's go with those 3 transfers and let's see how they extrapolate onto future game weeks, right? So I've done those 3 transfers: Chilwell, Maddison, and Watkins in, giving you a game week rating on the My Team tool on Fantasy Football Hub of 98%, which I would argue is pretty decent. Let's get to 29 then. So what would you be thinking of in 29? I'm jumping ahead here, and I know this is not 28, but all these transfers have a lot of permutations down the line, and this is in your thinking as you've just said. So would it be no Fernandes then, is what you're saying, for 29?
I think so, because I'll have to sell an Arsenal midfielder for McAllister next week.
Okay. Would that be Odegaard?
Probably.
Okay. Let's just do that, just because we just got to have a little playthrough and see how the team is looking down the line. And then any other transfers that week? Or would you just use the 1 free as it stands? Obviously, this is a long way in the future now.
As it stands, because if Toney is suspended, then I will prepone the Toney to Haaland move, and I'll bring Haaland back in next week. I'll bring him against Liverpool, no problem.
So, chatting to Abdul yesterday, FPL Salah, one of the main reasons why he is thinking to be a little bit more conservative with transfers is Toney, because even if he doesn't pick up that other yellow, he's wary that the gambling ban might come in, and that's going to be another transfer down the line. Anything on that? How are you thinking about just having Toney in your team long term?
That's not an option for me. I mean, especially when you look at the scheduling now, we have an international break. By the time game week 29 kicks off, it's going to be the 1st or 2nd of April. And after that, he's just a ticking time bomb. So in whatever plan I have in my team, I will be selling him by game week 30 at the latest.
So game week 30, the plan is to sell him for Haaland. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have that exit plan for Haaland, but then you're getting him back in pretty quickly, as you say. 3 fixtures for Watkins, who is a long-term hold, and then getting Haaland back in whilst keeping Kane. It does look pretty strong. Now, I've jumped ahead there. Let's get back to 28. Now, I'm jumping ahead, but all these moves matter down the line, and you have your plan, as you say, and if you get Chilwell in, then it means you can't do this, and etc. etc. 28 now. Who are you thinking is the best captaincy option?
I'm 60-40 on this one, and I think this decision is actually much closer than what the captaincy polls on Twitter suggest, where Kane is winning by a landslide. I don't necessarily think that should be the case, because there's a case to be made for an Arsenal mid this week, or even for someone like a Toney or Watkins. I don't think they're bad options, but personally, I'm looking at an Arsenal mid and Kane as the 2 standouts. At the moment, I'm on Saka. Because when I look at Arsenal's home stats, they're creating 2.2 XG per 90 at home, as compared to Spurs, who are creating just 1.1 away. That's the first thing, that Arsenal are much better attacking side at home. Similarly, when you look at Saka's underlying stats at home, his non-pen XGI is 0.63 as opposed to Kane's 0.43 away, which again is indicative of the fact that Saka is more likely to turn at home as Kane is away. And when you look at flank weaknesses, no team has conceded more chances down their left flank as opposed to Crystal Palace this season, which again works in Saka's favor. And the same trend is continued post-restart as well. So Palace do have a weakness on that flank. But having said that, I will monitor his minutes in the Europa League. I'll see if he does look tired, because he has looked a bit tired in recent games, which is a bit of a concern. But that's the way I'm leaning at the moment. But if I was to change, which I could, depending on what I see tonight, I will go to Kane in that scenario.
I think it's a really tough one because you have to kind of weigh up, as you say, how much having that midweek fixture will affect the entire team. Because it's not just, obviously, if he plays in it, that's not ideal for captaincy. It could reduce his minutes against Palace. But also if key players are in that game, and that game is really in the balance, that it's a must-win game and it's a draw at the moment, how is that going to affect other key players that, of course, Saka is relying on for returns? Say Odegaard plays 90 minutes in that game, which he might. That's obviously going to affect the rest of the team's creativity. Yeah. Palace, not doing well at the moment, but we've got to remember that they've had some incredibly hard fixtures. That is one of the reasons why they're not doing well.
On the contrary, Spurs have had a week of rest.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? That just adds to the argument that you're making.
There you go. The advantage of bottling it against Milan is that Kane becomes a captaincy option against Southampton. Brilliant. All right, so that's interesting because for me personally, I think I'm 60-40 Kane as it stands. Just looking at how Toney did against Southampton.
It is one of those weeks where you can choose to go different. I mean, if someone was telling me that they want to captain Chilwell this week, I won't stop them.
Absolutely.
Just that kind of week.
Let's talk briefly about the free hit. Now, we did do a video earlier in the week, which is down in the description. I'll put it in the pinned comment as well and behind the I button, where Bakar gave us his optimal free hit draft. Just a quick one on that, though. Do you think people should be using free hit this week?
I think most people would have already been in a position in recent weeks, depending on their transfers, that they would have decided whether they wanted to free hit or not. Having said that, if you're still 50-50 or on the fence, I would look at the number of players I would have in the team. For example, if you only have 5 or 6 players, I would definitely free hit, as there's plenty of value addition to be made. Similarly, if you own, let's say, 9 players, but 3 of them are Dwight McNeil, Tarkowski, or Nonto from Leeds, then I don't expect many points from them this week. So these are the kind of things I will consider. Similarly, if you have a wild card in hand and have a bench boost, and if you're not well set up for this week, you can potentially look at wildcarding this week and load up on, let's say, Chelsea, Leicester, Newcastle, Villa, instead of reheating, as will set you up for both this week and bench boost in 29. So yeah, these are the few factors which would decide whether or not I choose to free hit this week.
Okay. And the final question I have is, say you were on, well, not a free hit, say you're on a wild card this week, and let's compare your current team to what your wildcard team would be. How different would your wildcard team be to the team that you wildcarded in 26, even with these 3 transfers that you're planning on making? Is it similar, or would there actually be quite a lot of difference?
I don't think there would be a huge difference.
Okay.
If I was wildcarding, I would definitely go with Havertz and Watkins with Kane. So the first difference would be that I own Toney and the wildcard team won't have Toney, because, as I've said, he's a ticking time bomb. He's one I'd have to remove later down the line anyway. So he's someone I would remove. Other than that, I don't think there will be any other change from my team. And I would just pick McAllister as one of the mids over the 2 I have right now. The rest would remain the same, including the defense.
I guess that kind of just suggests to me that
keeper actually. Sorry to cut you off there, Jack. Keeper actually, because I won't go with Raya either on a wild card. Brentford's fixtures aren't really appealing. I would actually go with Ward, as he's cheap and he allows for more funds later on, which would be needed to upgrade Haaland. So I'd pick Ward over Raya for funds.
Yeah. So 7.4 predicted points for Ward in the double compared to 6.3 for Raya. Maybe more of an outside chance of a clean sheet for Ward, especially in that. Well, I guess Palace at home, as you say, are bad numbers. So Villa at home and Palace away, actually a pretty decent double for Ward. Yeah, I think then, my friend, that's going to do it for this one, right? Anything else to add?
I think we've covered almost every talking about. This is brief and succinct, especially considering how much there was to talk about.
Yeah, it's a big game week. Guys, you're going to have to wait and see what Bakar's plans become in terms of that hit. Just for complete transparency, we jumped on a Zoom call and Bakar instantly said to me, Jack, I'm thinking of taking a hit. And I said, Bakar, say no more. And I started recording because I just couldn't believe it. All this planning, to not take hits in theory, but then Maddison comes out of nowhere. Unbelievable. What are you thinking right now? What is your right now? I put you on the spot. What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm very as I've said, the Haaland move is happening, the Chilwell move is happening. The hit is the one which is questionable, and
Yeah.
at the moment I'm 60-40 towards taking the hit. But again, I'll sort of sleep over it and let's see
Wow.
where I end up.
And does that mean that there'll be no Fernandes for you guaranteed in the double if you do that?
I think so, because I will have to have enough funds to get Haaland back from Toney. So that's the thing. Another very, we've been discussing regarding the transfers. It's actually a very tough call deciding which one of the Brighton mid to sell. I mean, if you own Mitoma, Mitoma and March, there's not much between them. It's a horrible call to make. I don't really want to be making this call.
That's kind of why personally I'm leaning towards just leaving them as is, because they're so good, And you're right about Maddison, but like the players around him are actually they're just not playing very well at the moment. They're just not finishing their chances, which is just like, how much can one man do? There is a haul coming, I completely agree. But I just think, wouldn't it have happened by now? He's playing well, to be fair. He's obviously still a good pick. But for a hit, I'm not sure. Personally, I'm not sure personally.
I understand. I mean, that's why I'm a bit uncertain as well. I'm looking at it as a -2 as opposed to a -4, but yeah, I mean, it is definitely questionable, because it sort of locks a transfer in for me next week as well, and I'm already sort of leaning towards selling. In fact, I'm definitely selling Toney for Haaland at 30. So yeah, it sort of locks me in terms of transfers till 30. But if it pays off, I really like it. But again, it's something I'll sleep over and mull through.
I think the really interesting shout from you there is selling Henry, who plays, rather than Estupinan, who doesn't. That is a long-term thinking move, which I like.
Yeah, I'm very certain that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
For sure, that's not something I'm pondering.
Really interesting. Okay, guys. Well, to see Bakar's full team reveal, locked in, confirmed, after the transfers have been made, you're going to need to go to the Fantasy Football Hub website, link down below, where your full team reveal will be posted. When? Friday afternoon?
Yeah, I mean, I've already sort of posted a rough team reveal, but obviously after the press conferences, I will update the article and post a final team reveal.
I guess if you're watching this video right now, go and have a look. Go and have a look what Bakar decided to do. Guys, that is going to do it for this one. A big game week coming up. Some green arrows all around for Wildcard 26ers. But will it continue? Let's see. Best of luck. I hope it does for all of us. But of course, that is impossible, so it's unlikely. Bakar, thank you very much as always. And I'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers. Good luck.